In April 2014, Vancouver Coastal Health CEO retired. And I love that man. I worked with him really closely, and it was a big deal for me when he stepped down. And our new CEO was going to be an internal hire, one of our chief operating officers, and it was a woman. Her name was Mary. She was an engineer. Know what I'm talking about. A fan of lean methodology and workplace efficiency. And the story about Mary was kind of all about the work and maybe not so much about the people. But, she was pretty quiet, and truthfully, I didn't really know her that well. But that didn't stop me from worrying about the change and my own job security furiously. And I talked to everybody who would listen to me about it for quite some time. Because I think we all know that in the absence of facts, it's very important to speculate and to completely freak out. And I did it very well. And then, about 2 weeks before Mary took office, I got a phone call from her assistant. And she said, Mary needs you to write a speech for her. It's going to be a keynote address to something called the Canadian College of Healthcare Leaders. It's a big deal. It's like IABC for healthcare executives. And it was going to be just within days of Mary taking office. And my heart leapt. Yes, this is my big opportunity. I am going to sit down with Mary and I'm going to interview her and I'm going to listen like nobody's ever listened before, and I'm going to be insightful. And we are going to bond over how clever I am. It's going to be awesome. There was a little problem, though. Mary was on vacation. Mary was out of the country, in fact. And the ask was that I do this speech, I prepare it, and I have it ready for her when she comes back. So prepare it cold, without ever talking to Mary. Oh, yeah, okay. The topic was Mary's personal career journey and her vision for transforming healthcare in British Columbia. Holy shit. Are you kidding me? Back to freaking out. Yeah, that's what I did. So about 4 days and maybe two bottles of wine, we'll go with that. I started my research and I dug in and I started pulling up all her past presentations. I talked to her past comms people, looked at video footage we had of her from staff forums, and I even discreetly called her executive coach, though shh. And at the end of all of that, I decided something. I decided Mary was actually very, very smart. And rather than being aloof or analytical, Mary was probably shy. Mary was an introvert. I could relate to that. And I think that's why she always talks about the work and not about the people, and least of all herself. And I decided in that moment, in her debut speech, that people needed to know this about her, that this would be how they formed a connection to her. This is how they would relate, and they would decide that they liked Mary. And I decided that would work for me too. And I thought if I couldn't pull that off, and I didn't feel that connection to Mary, then, never mind about losing my job. I should probably leave my job. So I dug in and I wrote that kick-ass speech, if I do say so myself, and I included her plan, at least what I thought was her plan, to transform healthcare, and then I dove into the personal. And I spoke of her as being shy and quiet and a strategic thinker who would think about the impact of her changes on people before she rushed into them. And yes, I called her an introvert. And I held placeholders for personal stories about her kids. Pretty sure she had kids. Her kids and her husband and her mentors and the things that kept her awake at night. And I showed it to my colleagues, some of whom are here, actually. I showed it to my colleagues and I said, wow, this is really great, except for the part about the introvert. Do you really know that for sure? And I don't know about that part. And I did it anyway. And I hit send and I opened my third bottle of wine. And then Mary emailed me on her way home. And she said, this is amazing. I don't know how you know this stuff about me. You are bang on. Yeah. And the next paragraph says, but we won't talk about this. We will rewrite this. And since I had nothing else, I would like to say, I dug in and I actually said, truthfully, I felt pretty strongly about it, and I respectfully, I challenged her. I said, this is the right thing to do. You need to do this. And she said, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. Okay. And she did it. And she was amazing. And from the podium, as she finished, she even thanked me publicly for bringing her to that place, which is, those of you who write speeches, that was quite a remarkable moment. And then afterwards, I'm in the lineup for the ladies' room, and it's a long line because healthcare is like communications, it's all women, and so there's lots of chatter. And people are talking about them, this is amazing, and can you believe that? I didn't even know she had kids. And, you know, and she has self-doubt, like, what? Let's all this talk. And then I zeroed in and I started eavesdropping on these two women ahead of me. And one of them turns to the other and she says, maybe she's not so scary after all. I could really get behind a leader like that. And I thought, you know what? Me too. And in that moment, I realized I had something to contribute. I could help leaders find their voice, and I could rally people around them. And I knew I had made my mark. Thank you.